find your passion, what you want to do. I never thought I would own a dive center in the tropics. Once you know something's possible, there's nothing stopping you. I went like 5, 6, 7 years making nothing. If I want something bad enough, fear is not going to stop me. That's one of our plans for next year, actually.
Okay, we are here with my buddy Justin Carmack. Justin, of course, is the owner of Critter Republic in Dauin, Philippines. And I know many of you have likely seen an interview or two with Justin. We're very fortunate that he's agreed to sit down and chat with us today. Justin, if you could briefly introduce yourself for those two people that have never seen you before.
So, thanks for the interview. My name's Justin, and I run a dive center here in Dauin. Well, Dauin. It's outside of Dumaguete. Right now we're in Dumaguete at the coffee shop where Alex is living.
That's a great introduction, Justin. What makes Dauin a great place to learn how to dive?
Oh man, so many things. So before I got here, I was a travel writer writing about dive destinations. I was going all over the world. I dove on 6 continents. I've been to 89 countries. I didn't dive in all of them, but the point is I could have ended up anywhere. I ended up Philippines, and I could have ended up anywhere in Philippines, and I ended up in Dauin. It's just such an awesome place. The marine biodiversity is, well, we're in the Coral Triangle, if you didn't know that already, but Philippines in general is the center of the Coral Triangle. So you add a lot of other things like infrastructure, and the people are kind, and long-term visas. I'm telling you, long-term visas Philippines is one of the easiest. So you add all those together, and it was just the perfect spot.
Do you have a typical progression? Let's say I've never been diving before and I want to get a intermediate level skill set. That's not something that's going to happen in one dive. What kind of timeline can you share with people who they've never been diving before, or maybe they're very lightly experienced? Maybe they went once in vacation, but yeah.
Yeah, diving doesn't work that way. I think, so when you say my level, I guess you mean instructor and tech diver. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It's not like going running, you just do it. You can do tri dives with the instructor where you go out, they take you the basics of a dive, and then see if you can, if you can handle breathing underwater. In the pool, we have a pool, and then if it's all good, we go out front in the ocean, maybe 5 meters, and you get a little bit of a taste, because then if you like it and you don't have the anxiety, all that, you can do the dive courses. And so how diving works, it's kind of like skydiving. You got to take courses, man. There's no such thing as self-certifying or self-taught in scuba diving. It's a pretty dangerous course. Sport. Activity, yeah. So how it works is there's a lot of levels. So the first one would be open water certification. For us, that's a 4-day course. Our average student, I think we've been open about 15 months. We've had about 400 students, certifications. Our average student has been 60 years old. We could do between 10 years old to, we've had an 80-year-old and a 78-year-old. So you're never too old, and if you're 10 years old, you can start. So after that open water certification, there's only so much you can learn in 4 days, 4 ocean dives, and all the skills you do underwater. Getting comfortable is the main thing. You got to get a little bit of experience, do some regular diving, and then the next level is advanced open water. That gets you down to 30 meters. The first course gets you down to 18 meters, and then we work on other stuff. You start learning nitrox theory, physics of scuba diving. You learn a little bit in open water, but there's only so much you can retain. People are usually nervous, anxious, also super excited. I mean, this is like a bucket list activity if you've never tried it for a lot of people. As instructors, we're told to give 150% of the information and whatever, so that they retain 75%, you know what I mean? So there's only so much you can learn in your first course. So second course touches more on that, and you start working on the skills. And then there's a lot of speciality like nitrox, navigation, wreck diving. There's a lot. We teach all of it at my dive center. And then after that, it's rescue course. All these are prerequisites if you want to be a professional level. So then you would go on to CPR, oxygen administration, bloodborne pathogen. There's a lot of little stuff with rescue. And then dive master. I got a student this month, actually. My own student. Normally my instructors are doing all the work. I just run the business, and I got people to do stuff. But I do like mentors, longer type courses. So I got a dive master student all month. After that, you got to get a lot of experience even as a dive master, and then you can do your instructor course. And then on from there, rebreathers, instructor trainers, course directors, tech diving. Now, as a student myself, I'm getting into tech diving. You got to start again at the bottom. You got to
be a student.
Yeah, so I'm an instructor on the recreational diving, but on tech diving, I just did Intro to Tech, which is a 40 meter. You just stage tanks, learning a lot of stuff. And then ANDP, which is Advanced Nitrox and Decompression Procedures. It's all about physics, decompression stops, boring stuff for most people listening, but I'm a student of the game and I'm fascinated with this stuff. And I love this sport or activity, whatever. When I get interested in something, I want to know everything. And if you get into like knitting or something, you're probably going to learn everything pretty quick. But in this, you can never know everything. There's always another step. There's always another course. I haven't even gotten into rebreathers yet, trimix, helitrox. I'm only qualified for deco diving at 45 meters. Next up, I'm doing extended range, but you can never stop learning in diving. There's a lot more to it than just going down and seeing a turtle. And that got way more technical than you were hoping, I think. This is what I always tell people is find your passion, what you want to do, and then figure out how to do it for a living, make it sustainable. I knew this wasn't just a 1 week a year vacation. I had to figure out how to do it.
That's so powerful, Justin. And beyond the obvious value of diving, I think that you're a good example to people who they want to live what some might call an alternative lifestyle, right? You're not in the 9 to 5. You're not sitting in traffic with, I got to drink coffee and, this and that. I mean, you have a lifestyle many people dream about. When they fall asleep at night, and they start dreaming, they're thinking, man, what would it be like to be in a gorgeous tropical place and be able to help people have these once-in-a-lifetime experiences? Speaking of which, a majority of my audience at the current point is 55 plus. Obviously, we're guys in our 30s. We're probably a little bit less worried about, you could say we're a little bit more resilient. We're in the prime of our being. Can a 60-plus-year-old really dive? What kind of things does your team do with somebody who's in that age range that maybe they wouldn't do with a younger diver, or is it the same? Could you speak to that?
Well, first I want to reiterate on the first thing you said, the alternative lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
Growing up, I'm 38 now. Growing up, it's all relative, right? So, for example, I have an intern right now. She's about to turn 18. I've sponsored her for all her courses up till her next step is dive master. She can't do that until she's 18. She can't. Anyways. So I asked her, what do you want to do for a living? And she's a local Filipina. She's my dive master's daughter. And she said, maybe I'll be a school teacher. And I was like, what? Like, that is not a dream. That is, no offense to school teachers, but...
It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe, but she doesn't know the possibilities. So she grew up in a tiny village, no TV, no internet, no nothing. Her dad is a dive master. Her mom is a stay-at-home mom. The highest professional she ever met was her school teachers. So she's like, well, they seem successful. So we got to looking at it, and like the average wage is $27,000 a month. That's like $500 a month. And that's after a 4-year degree. So I got to thinking, is she just not ambitious? Or is she ambitious up to her experience, up to what she knows? So I got to thinking about my own. How come I'm hyper ambitious? How come? And I started thinking of my own, when I was younger, not childhood, but I met a guy. I lived in small town Colorado. I also didn't have a huge influence out there. I never thought I would own a dive center in the tropics. I met a guy that showed me, this is possible, just go for it. It was like it broadened my horizons massively. I knew my passion was traveling and then later diving. I just figured I gotta find a job where I can work really hard and do that once, you get a vacation every year. I had this professor that's telling me, well, why don't you just do it for a living? Do it all the time. Have the ultimate life, not just wait till you're retired or 1 week a year or whatever. What do you mean that's possible? So I started Googling those kind of things, and I was finding this stuff is possible. So then once you know something's possible, there's nothing stopping you, or at least me. Back in our day when we were young, or let's say these other guys that are twice our age, this wasn't possible. You're not going to work online. You're not going to do all this stuff. Alternative lifestyle. There wasn't an alternative lifestyle. You were considered a hippie or something, and there was no option. But these guys, go ask any of these old guys if they wished they were doing what I'm doing or what you're doing 30 years ago. Guaranteed not one of them would choose money over freedom. I just so happen to be making good money now. I went like 5, 6, 7 years making nothing just so I could build something up myself, not rely on Social Security, rely on my own investments, my own whatever that I do now, building a business, everything else.
You have a high value add.
Well, these days, school is not as popular as it was in our day. Our parents probably told you you have to go to school. Well, I don't know what I want to do. Well, I'll just go anyway. Come out 50 grand or 100 grand in debt, as long as you can say you have a degree. But now, I think there's so much value. Unless you're going to be an astronaut, a pilot,
a doctor.
Lawyer, doctor, certain things. 90% of us aren't going to do that stuff. I think there's way more value now in internships. When I lived in Australia for a year, you had to do apprenticeships, no matter what job it was. Like, I was a bouncer. I had to do a freaking apprenticeship to be a security guard. You get like a certification to be a plumber. You have to be apprentice. A plumber's a apprentice or whatever. And I think there's way more value. You come out some actual skills in whatever exact profession. You're not studying things you'll never use. Anyway, so I'm telling my apprentice, my intern, I'm like, whatever happened to being a dive instructor? I mean, I'm sponsoring you. I'll make it happen. And she's like, do they make money? I love diving, but is that a career? And I was like, look at me. You're 18. You could own a resort one day. I didn't come here with money. I built it from nothing, putting every dime I make back in and
living far below your means.
Yeah. You just have to know what's possible. Figure out what you want to do, not how. Figure out what you love doing, and then later decide you're going to do it, and then figure out how to do it. Because there's always somebody, one, that's a pro, that's done it, that'll help you. Online education is massive. There's so many tutorials on how to do everything from accounting, bookkeeping. I mean, you name it. We've gone through it all. Mm-hmm. And then, two, there's people that want to support you if you're doing positive things, trying to improve your life. I think getting a bachelor's degree to be a school teacher or something that doesn't pay anything is not a dream job. It's just it's easy. It's comfortable, I guess. That's not a good investment for her. Maybe for some people, if that's the actual dream, but it's not her dream. She wants to do marine biology and instructing, diving, but she wanted to do that just because she thought that was what was expected.
And I can speak to this as an Asian person. In our cultures, to be risk averse. We want to do the thing that we feel like is steady and stable. And teachers get a lot of respect here in the Philippines. It's not like where we're from in the United States. Teacher is considered a respected, upstanding member of society. But there are different ways to earn a living. The Philippines economy is rapidly growing, one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. And I think there will only continue to be more and more unique opportunities here. What do you say to the person who is scared to go diving?
Oh, back to diving. So I get this question all the time because there's a lot of dudes that come to do a course with me and they want their girlfriend or wife or whatever to do it with them, and they're scared. You wouldn't believe. You've been to my office. It's literally on the water, or my classroom. You wouldn't believe how many girls have been there, Filipinas, that say this is the closest I've ever been to the ocean and I'm not going in the ocean. Anyways, to answer your question, anything that is worth doing is scary. So I think success is on the outside of your comfort bubble, on the outside of your comfort zone. I've gone so far out of my comfort zone so many times, and it's always, always, always paid off. So if I want something bad enough, fear is not going to stop me, and it's always paid off. So if these guys are scared to go in the water and they have no reason to go in the water, that's different. If they're scared but it's always been their dream, that's a whole different thing. You're really going to want to regret it the rest of your life. I told you I have a dive master student right now. Dude, she was this person. She was this person. She arrived with her boyfriend, husband, whatever, and he was doing the course. She just joined in, Now she fell in love with it so much. They bought gear. She went all the way through all those courses I just mentioned, and now dive master. And I could see her being an instructor one day. She just totally fell in love with it. They live in Saipan, and they're both just changing up their whole life plan, everything. They're like, we can never live in a city where we can't just dive all the time. I mean, it's life changing.
I kind of think you need a sports psychologist on staff, Justin. What do you say to the person who maybe they had a stressful first experience in another country? Not here in the Philippines. Maybe they went to Mexico. Maybe they went to some other country. I say Mexico because it's close to the United States. Nothing wrong with Mexico. What do you say to that person who's had that difficult first experience?
Easy. I get this all the time as well, man. A bad instructor can really make somebody not want to dive ever again. They can put them in danger. They can hurt their ears, a whole host of things. And I think in diving, there's no bad students. It's just bad teachers. And we've had a host of those, you know, guys, girls, whatever, especially young ones that the instructor forced them down deeper. They were having anxiety. We know how to deal with this, and a lot of guys don't. So we just kind of untrain them and show them, you know, we give them a good attitude, like, you got this. You don't worry about that experience. They weren't doing it right. We'll show you how it really is. And I think out of the 400 whatever certifications we've had in the last 14 months or whatever, I think I've had one student that didn't finish on his own. Almost all of them, and he's coming back. So you could definitely have a bad experience, but getting back on the horse and finding the right instructor it could be life-changing, or it could be bad. We have this all the time as well. We have to retrain, or not even the training, just the experience. That's why the tri-dives, you know, the DSD.
I know that we talked a bit about future careers, and something that I think is beautiful about diving is that it's not really, from what I could tell, it's not something you can get AI to do, right? Can you speak to the future opportunities that you think the diving industry will create for Filipino people who they don't know what they want to do with their life?
So I get a ton of Filipinos, as well as everybody else, watch it. I have a YouTube channel about diving, and I actually have two. One is the educational aspect, and the other is showing what you're going to see, you know, all the species. So I had in business school, I had a teacher that told me nobody wants a 1/4-inch drill bit, they want a 1/4-inch hole. So if you're in advertising, are you going to show how cool this drill bit is, or are you going to show how cool the hole is that is the direct result of that drill bit? I do have the educational, the physiology, the physics, the Boyle's Law, Archimedes' Law, Halogen, Dalton, Gay-Lussac, like all these physics and all this stuff. That is more like how to be a better diver or increase your education. So it's a small niche. But the other aspect is the marine biology and what you're going to see as a diver, and why, in particular, why Philippines, because there's more species in Dauin, in front of my shop, within a few miles of my shop, than all the entire Florida coastline, which is massive. That says a lot. You know, when I was traveling around the world, Egypt, for example, that's a very popular dive destination.
Dahab, right?
Yeah. I spent a year in Dahab. It would take me 3 dives to do 1 episode, and then I came here and I could do 1 dive and do 3 episodes. There are just so many things to film. I can't film a fraction of what I see every day, and I'm not filming the same stuff. I'm working on my 2nd book, and it's just tons of species. I don't even know what the question was. I don't know what your question was. I hope that answers it, but I go off on tangents. This is what it's about. It's not hard to get up. I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. It's not hard to get out of bed when you're working for something you love doing. You're not clocking in to make somebody else's dream. And then when people talk about it and they're interested and they ask you questions, it's the lifestyle, man. It's easy to talk about.
That's so cool, Justin. You're one of those people that helped inspire me, because, like, you look here at Dumaguete, you look at some of the vlogs, you get the impression the only guys that can live here in Dumaguete that are foreigners, they're retired men age, right? They wait until they're 62, 65, 67, they collect Social Security, and then they get to enjoy life. You're doing it at a much younger age, and I think there's a lot of guys who, if they could sort out some kind of business opportunity, they would love to be here as well. Speaking about your business, because I think that's just part of what's so interesting to me. What do you see as the future? What is your vision for the future of Critter Republic?
Well, so first off, there is a lot of channels in Philippines, like about Philippines,
Yeah.
and it's almost 99% retired, how to retire in the Philippines, And these guys, look, man, I know this is the age of information, but you got to consider your source. You get guys that have been here 1, 2, 6 months, and they're an information channel. And every time I watch them, I just got to shake my head, and it's so hard for me not to call them up, be like, dude, you're wrong on every single level. I'm here almost 8 years. Everything you just said is not true. This is, and they're always, have you ever seen somebody positive? It's always, oh, never buy real estate, never buy a car. It's impossible to get a driver's license. It's impossible to, you have to be here 6 or a year or however long to get a bank account. You can't register a motorcycle. I've done every single one of these things in like a day each. Like everything they have a problem with. It's nothing. They leave U.S. or wherever for a reason, but then they want to bring, and they come here because there's no problems. They want to bring their problems and the luxuries. They think it's going to be the same luxuries as wherever they just left, and it drives me crazy. And I think because, most of these guys, these channels, they never went anywhere, and then they went straight to Philippines to retire because they saw somebody else do it. It's very rare where you got somebody that's super well traveled and then they just ended up living in Philippines, kind of like me and you. Maybe that's why I didn't have any culture shock. Culture shock, maybe, I can't even think of a place I had crazy culture shock, maybe Zambia or something. Philippines is the most like the U.S. than any country in Asia.
Yes.
It's the most English, the most friendly. I mean, the stores, there's...
You got American products, you got American brands here.
Yeah. So they're so jaded, it feels like, that they watch, like, James Bond movie where he's riding a Vespa with some hot girl on the back, just going down the coastal highway with the beach on one, or the ocean on one side and, like, some cliffs on the other. And that's how it's going to be in Philippines or whatever. And then they get here and it's traffic and the normal Asia stuff. And they start making videos about how horrible it is here and don't come here, but they can come here, but you're not going to be able to handle it. And there's so many different gatekeeping. So I feel like I don't make videos about this. I make videos about diving. But I honestly think that diving is the number one hidden jewel of Philippines. Otherwise, I'd be somewhere else. There's a lot of countries. All the best things about Philippines is not unique. There's a lot of countries with friendly people. There's a lot of countries with tropical beaches and island vibes. In fact, better ones. There's countries with better food. You name it. There's a lot of good things about it, but you can go Indonesia in a lot of places. The marine biodiversity, the diving, it does make Philippines unique in the world. Maybe 5 countries in the world has what Philippines has. And then you add in like I said, the infrastructure and the visas and all that, it's just better here. That's why I'm here, and I started Critter Republic. So what I see in the future, this is a long answer, I guess, but right now I'm leasing the dive center space from a big resort. I'm at Sierra Resort in Dauin. And so in the future, I need to buy a resort or land and build a resort. Because of the channel, my channel, it's overcrowded. I've made that resort really popular, they're always full. And then that's why we have a lot of students as well. So I'd like bigger classrooms, bigger office. Right now, we're actually making massive plans that I can't really talk a lot about.
Got it, yeah. A good magician never reveals
because it's almost 2025, and I'm so cliche in this one thing where I'm not gonna say resolutions, but like goals, and just having a new year is like a good timeline, a good marker or whatever to implement goals. But we have big brand ambassadorships and things that we're working with, like Dive Right and Insta360 and stuff like that. We're in talks. There's not too much I want to talk about.
No worries. I figured that you'd want to keep a lot on the DL.
I think in 6 months we've had a lot of investor offers that we turned down because I think in 12 months it's not even going to be recognizable. We're expanding. We just hired another accounting company and a bookkeeper and CPA. So we had to go through our books for our, this is our first year. It was huge. So I think we're also getting into real estate and stuff, but I'll get it. The main thing is we did a lot better in our first year than I thought we did. And we had to invest a lot of money back into it, like trucks and gear and insurance, and we have a lot of full-time employees now. I think a year from now, it's going to be even bigger.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. You've been so generous with your time to share with the audience.
One of our students is shopping. They're doing their hair and shopping, so I got to come to town and chill out and meet a lot of guys here in Dumaguete in the coffee shop. So I'm always at my resort. Well, not always. That's one of our plans for next year, actually. I have a full-time staff now. I've outsourced pretty much everything because,
One man can't do
I'd be a bad business guy if I was leading the divers on guided dives all day or teaching every day. I need to be out of the water, editing videos and doing the marketing and the stuff that my staff can't do. So that being said, I get guys all day, every day coming to my shop just to buy shirts or say hello or dive or whatever. So I'm opening, I got a new studio like off property, and I'm going to be hitting out a lot so I can get some actual work done. And my wife, my secretary, my instructors, my dive masters, all of them, they can run the day-to-day stuff. So I was gonna say come down and see me, but I can't guarantee I'll be there. I have to dive every day, every couple days, get footage, but I can't run the day-to-day stuff anymore. It's too busy. It's a good problem to have, but thanks for hanging out.
That's wonderful, man. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.